All right, wildfire season has begun, and it's got many homeowners understandably nervous. Money expert Rubina Ahmed-Haq joins us now. And Rubina, what is the biggest piece of advice for homeowners who are obviously so concerned about their biggest investment?
You have to check your home insurance. You have to make sure that your home is protected from fire. And if you are in a fire-prone area, do you have that extra insurance from wildfires to make sure that if your home was, if you had to leave your home in an emergency, that you would have hotels covered, you'd have others costs covered, and if there was damage to your home, that would be covered as well. And then you want to do some proactive things where you're cleaning up around your home, dry debris especially. If there is a fire, say, next door, it can easily light and then spread to your home as well. And you can go a step further and even hire a contractor where they will help to fireproof, or not fire restrict your home. That's a really expensive one, but if someone is in an area where they're repeatedly being threatened by wildfires, that might be something to look into.
All right, some good advice there. We were talking on the show yesterday. Liquidation sales have begun across Canada at Ted Baker, Brooks Brothers, and Lucky Brand. This, of course, Rubina, comes after Nordstrom left Canada last year. Why is this happening, and what does it tell us about the state of Canadian retail?
So there's two things happening right now. One is that many of us are shopping online. So all those brand names that you mentioned, many of us are buying those products online. We're not going into brick and mortar stores. And the other is that sometimes American companies come into to Canada and they overestimate how much we're actually going to be spending as consumers. And so these companies, they can't have presence across the country, maybe in major cities like Vancouver and Toronto, but when they get into smaller markets, they just don't have the consumers walking through the door, and they just don't have that foot traffic. And that really speaks to this post-pandemic world where we live in. A lot of us are buying, even luxury items online. We go see it, somewhere, someplace, and then we come home and we order it. And there is no need for that huge presence anymore, especially in smaller centers.
And maybe because the convenience of purchasing has led to over-purchasing in some cases, which is why a lot of people end up returning items.
Yes.
And we're just talking about this at the top of the show, that companies are really cracking down on repeat returners. Let's talk more about why they are.
So whenever you return something, they ask you for your phone number. And the reason they ask you for that is because they want to track how often you bring things back. Now, I often say, I'd rather not that I'm a repeat returner, but that is what they're doing. They're trying to figure out, are you someone that's back every Monday morning returning that outfit that you wore on Saturday night? And the reason they're doing that is because people are taking advantage of what have been very generous return policies. And so they want you to, of course, not wear that item and return it, but they also want to know that if you're someone that is repeatedly coming back, to ask more deeper questions as to why is it that you're constantly returning these items? Are you buying the wrong size? Are you buying the wrong color? How can we help you? It also helps them with their customer service.
All right, so they're tracking us more and more as online shopping has become more and more popular. And some consumers have actually been banned from now making returns. And they're fighting back. They're speaking out about this. So what is the future, do you think, when it comes to shopping, particularly online and returns?
So I think it's going to cost us now to return, which is something really new to North American consumers. Because for the longest time, we've had these really generous policies where, I remember the Bay at one point had a return policy. It didn't matter when you bought it, you could bring it back. And I remember as a young person, I worked at the Bay, someone brought back something with a receipt and it was brand new and it was decades old and they were able to return it under that return policy. But now, because margins are thin and because it's difficult for these retailers to make money, like the companies that we just talked about that are leaving Canada, even Amazon is asking for, in some cases, money to return those items so that you really know when you're making that decision whether you're going to keep it or not, because it costs them money. There's this new industry that's propped up with returns that are being sold at discounted prices. So it does show how much people are returning items and how it's creating chaos for a lot of companies.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see where this goes into the future, because Costco famously still has that return policy.
Right.
I don't think you even need the receipt to bring something back.
I mean, I see people at Costco returning things that don't make any sense to me, like half bags of meats and, plants that look like they were from last year. And it seems to me that, even as a person in the world, that you would think that this is probably something that is not resellable, and right. I probably shouldn't be taking it back. But
when you know you can do that as a consumer, some people are more likely to shop at your store because of that.
Just everything.
Yeah.
All right, we're going to have to leave it there. Thank you, Rubina.
Yeah, thank you.